These Ipswich Town players are defying the odds.
Hello and welcome back to TWTV, where you join us behind one of England's finest football grounds, Villa Park, for another video verdict as we look back on a town game in the Premier League. What an exciting game we've got to talk about, and I'm joined by TWTD editor and TWTD writer, Phil Ham and Kallum Brisset. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Thank you, Jim.
And we've got a bit more smiles on our face today because we've basically witnessed Aston Villa 1, Ipswich Town 1 in a really battling performance and result from Town. I'm going to go straight to you, Kallum. Talk us through the sort of key moments of the game. How did we manage to pull off the point despite being down to 10 men for 50 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it was a game that we obviously took the lead in, but I think even at 1-0, I think if you offered everyone a point, I think we'd all have taken it at that stage. The red card is kind of what the reasoning behind that in the first half to Axel, to Nzabi. We can talk about the actual sending off in a moment. Villa looked the better side even before that. They had the better chances, but then I think the red card kind of it brought us a bit more solidity. We kind of knew that the target from there on in was just to defend really, and see if we can hit them on the break or get the odd chance in the second half, which we did. And Liam Delap takes it as he does. 10 for the season for him now. Another great centre forwards finish. Only lasted 12-13 minutes before they equalised. Bit of an unfortunate one to concede as well, with it rattling off the crossbar and falling to Watkins. But in the end, it was a really battling point. Alex Palmer, I think, man of the match by a country mile. Making 6 saves in the end, a couple of which were extraordinary towards the end to keep the point. And it's certainly, as Alex Palmer told me after the game, it's certainly a point gained rather than 2 lost.
Absolutely, and it could be a crucial point, I think, in terms of building a bit of momentum. Over to you, Phil. You've written up your match report. I think Kieran, looking on him on Sky Sports, he was saying that he felt that we were matching them up until the red card. How did you feel? What did you write in the match report? How did you feel it was going until the red card? How do you feel the game went yourself?
Yeah, I think up to the red card, I think he'd have been absolutely delighted with how it was, because I don't really think they'd had a serious chance, had they? They had a lot of the ball, 1 or 2 efforts blocked. I don't think Palmer had made a save at that point. We'd had 2 sort of speculative shots rather than sort of decent chances. But I thought we were in the game. There was one spell in particular where we'd kept the ball for a long time, which we haven't actually done against the sort of better Premier League sides up to now, have we? In a lot of cases. And so I think at that point it'd have been quite happy. The red card obviously was a turning point, as you say, in that the kind of approach of the game and the kind of momentum of the game changed completely, really, because we found ourselves immediately under the cosh, didn't we? And the red card, I mean, the first booking was not a booking. It got the ball, so it wasn't a foul. And even if it was a foul, it wasn't a yellow card. And the second one, once you're on a yellow card, to pull a player back in that circumstance, you're asking to be sent off, and he was. But yeah, I think Axel can feel a bit hard done by the first yellow card, as he made clear at the time.
And how did McKenna feel about the?
Yeah, he was in agreement. He said it was. I can't remember the exact phrase he used, but very poor red card, he said. And I can understand that totally.
For me, I felt the officiating was a bit poor. There was a shoulder barge 50-50 that Hutchinson was called up on. And I think the point about the first yellow card for Axel, there'd been 2 very similar incidents for Villa players. So it just didn't feel very balanced, the officiating throughout the game for me.
No, with the first yellow, I agree. I don't think it was a yellow card, but I don't think we can have too many complaints about the sending off, because once you're in that position and you're on the yellow card, the second one is blatant. There's no complaints about that. And when you're in that position, you're always going to go in that instance.
Who did he foul? Because he was about to take the shot.
I mean, one for the sending off, I think it was...
was it Morgan Rogers?
It was Jacob Ramsey, I think. The first one was on Rogers, both of which, obviously, very talented forward players for Aston Villa. But yeah, not too many complaints for me because of how the way that the second was quite clearly a second yellow. But it was just about the second half performance from that point. I actually think... Interestingly, I think the red card might have helped us, because I think in a sense where the game plan, it became obvious what the game plan was from that point. And I think we knew what we were doing, and it might have messed with Aston Villa's game plan. They would have expected to come up against either a 4-2-3-1 or a 5-4-1, whatever it ended up being. But by the closing stages, it became kind of a 5-2-2, which they certainly wouldn't have prepared for. We wouldn't have prepared for, but we knew the role in terms of getting the shots blocked and just trying to defend for our lives, really.
Yeah, and I think for me, actually, as Kieran McKenna was saying, we were it was fairly even until the red card. And I thought, we've talked in the week, haven't we, about how we've sort of lost our mojo and momentum a bit. I thought we had some momentum. I thought we had some aggression, we were interested. But I thought actually as a team, we weren't playing to our best ability. Hutchinson was a bit off form. Greaves was having a few wobbles. But then after the red card, players seemed to go up. So I felt our quality went up, even though our possession obviously significantly dropped.
I can see the point that Kallum makes, that you know what the task is, don't you? There's no kind of doubt about it. You just got to sort of dig in, and they dug in. And I think Asensio had about, how many shots did he have when he came on? Ridiculous. And Rashford looked very short on foot. Oh, well, he had 1 or 2 decent moments, didn't he? But there was one shot that he had from a decent area opportunity, and he looked really just sort of, he didn't have any kind of belief about himself at all,
and actually, speaking of our players growing in quality in a way, I thought Johnson significantly improved through the game, and he was giving Rashford a good game. Rashford was struggling past him at times, but as you said, Rashford wasn't clinical enough, wasn't he? He didn't make the most of what he had.
I mean, they showed their quality without any doubt, and that run at the end when Rashford kind of burst down the left and he cut it back and it hit 2 people, didn't it? And Palmer sort of pushed it wide behind him. It was a remarkable save, really. It's just the kind of the reading of the situation and reacting to it, the speed that he did, I think was the most remarkable thing about it. But I think his just the kind of solidity behind the defence has added a lot, because obviously fans, players, and everybody were not certain of how things were with Muric, and I don't think anyone was confident of Muric, and Palmer has added an enormous amount.
Absolutely. In fact, let's just there's a lot of change to the team. Let's go through the team changes, and obviously there had to be an immediate change in game as well. But take us through the lineup and the changes, and then we'll pick out a man of the match.
I believe it was 4 from the last league game. Palmer obviously coming in for his league debut. There was no skipper, no Sam Morsey or Norleaf Davis, both of those minor issues.
Minor injuries, according to Kieran.
So it was a Jens and Calvin Phillips midfield. It was who am I missing? Connor Townsend at left back, of course.
Any news on that? Was that an injury for Davis?
Both minor.
Both minor. That's good to hear.
And then Enciso had to come off in game, but. I thought the team looked cohesive. It wasn't one of these where it's 4 or 5 changes again. They've got no rhythm. The team knew what they were doing, which perhaps has lacked in recent games. So I think it was an improvement on that front. And I thought there were some good performances. Calvin Phillips in midfield I thought was good. Connor Townsend came in, did his job at left back. Alex Palmer, obviously we've spoken about, Premier League debut. Man of the match, what more can you want from him?
Dara O'Shea, I think, at the back.
Dara O'Shea,
Wolfie, when he came on, I think
was very good. And I think Phillips, like Johnson in a way, grew in the game. By the end, he was reading the game really well, wasn't he, Phillips? He hasn't been getting much game time. And for me, he was starting to read the game, find the space, wasn't he? Cut things out really well.
And in the spell where we had the ball, that's possession spell of possession in the first half. He was kind of the one dictating it around. And,
Absolutely. I think we're all agreeing Palmer is man of the match. I think when you see some of these saves back, there's some real quality in there. It's fantastic to see. And again, a calmness we've talked about. Okay, let's move on to going across to the TWTD forum and seeing what people have said about the game in the 3 words that Homer puts up. And then I'll kind of go between you if that's all right, just to see, how you respond. So the first one is, and I quite like this one from Cafe Newman, is we won 1-1. And it kind of in the away end, which was very loud today. We're just outside the Trinity Road stand. I think Hospitality are putting all their bottles out, so excuse the background noise. Yeah. But we won 1-1. In the away end, at the end, the way we celebrated and greeted the players, it felt like a win in a way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's the way the game went. I think we expect. I mean, a point here even before the game would have been a really good result to come to Villa Park and get that. And then with the way you go down to 10 men, with the way that the Aston Villa kind of had the onslaught towards the end, and the way that Alex Palmer makes the saves at 1-1 does make it feel like by the full-time whistle we've done the job. So
and hugely important after the massive disappointment of the Southampton loss. It's a bit of a platform, isn't it? Let's talk about Palmer again. He's the theme of today. So Palmer is karma. From SW Blue 22, and also Safe Palms Palmer from BSE Wendy. Great name and 2 things, and that's it, isn't it? It's the story of him. I mean, that save at the end was remarkable, I thought.
Yeah, it deserves a Palmer door.
Yeah, hey. Very good. And let's talk about that karma element of it. That he was passing out the back. He just wasn't panicking, was he?
I just think that he adds a calmness. Yeah, I think that's exactly the right word. A calmness and a solidity. And Kieran McKenna in his post-match press conference mentioned the fact that he played with Dara O'Shea and Connor Townsend at West Brom, so he'd obviously played with them before, which probably helped. But I think it's a great debut, really, from him.
And pick up maybe Callum's earlier point about how we sort of found what our purpose was after we went down to 10 men. I thought this is really good. It's Suffolk Spartan Warriors, which I think is just superb, because I think I thought when we went down to 10 men, I thought we were going to drop. Were we going to have it? But we seemed to step up, and then the goal emboldened us even more, didn't it? And then the blocks were going in. We really had the belief,
it was just
didn't
that
we?
Determination to kind of. I think that's what it is. It's spirit and determination, isn't it? That kind of saw us there over the line.
Yeah. Okay. So that's and this is the last one, I think, which is, let's see where this goes over the next games, which is Spurs at home, Man United away. Is survival. Survival, what does that say there? I can't actually read it. The survival fight back begins from Melts ITFC. So survival fight back begins. Do you think this can be a platform?
I think it's kind of 4 defeats in a row before today. So I think it's quite important to get something today, or to stop, because you could see the season going into one of those kind of relegation spirals, particularly if Wolves and Leicester will start picking up points. But it's sort of drawn a line, really, hasn't it, under the kind of recent bad run. And if we can build on the point today and the performance today, because I think it will give everybody in the dressing room confidence. I think the fans obviously went away, as you say, kind of feeling it was a 1-1 win, on top of the 4-1 at Coventry last week. And something to build on, and Tottenham next week, when anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's close out with a few stats. And I thought it was probably fairly even, the possessioners up until the red card, but it ended up being 75% to them.
Yeah, that's no surprise.
And it felt like it, didn't it, at times? We was a bit at the Alamo, but the 5 was robust, wasn't it? We were doing well out on the wings, I thought, stopping the crosses. And as you said, I thought Townsend was excellent. What I noticed with Townsend, maybe over Davis a little bit, is he's getting the blocks in on the crosses. Mm-hmm. Crosses are not coming in. He's got a bit of a knack to kind of block those out.
He's a defensive left back, I suppose.
He's a defender, whereas Leaf's kind of feels like he's an attacker.
And maybe that's important, as we go forward. Not too many more on the stats. I mean, I think corners is to bring out the Alamo element of it. They had 16 corners throughout one. 16 corners. Wow, so I think that kind of senses that we really were dug in at some point. Okay, let's start to close out by looking into the Survival League. So I was watching Leicester Arsenal underneath the away end, and there were huge cheers as Arsenal beat Leicester 2-0. So the goals are going from us. The Blue Army were really cheering those goals as they're winning, because Arsenal were struggling with their lack of strikers, but they eventually broke them down. Bournemouth have beaten Southampton 3-1 away. So, another loss, Saints losing at home. They really are down. And what a shame we weren't able to beat them in that whole game. But maybe this is something that we can, we start to put that in the rearview mirror. We start to put it in the memory banks.
Nothing we can do about that now,
It's done. But we've I think Phil's made such a good point. He stopped the rot. We could have gone into a spiral, I think, after that, but we've managed to pull out a draw. It was, in the later kickoff, it was Palace 0, Everton 0, but I mean, Moyes has really emboldened Everton. I think they may be beyond us. But I think the interesting thing is going to be Liverpool tomorrow. Slot's going to be in the stands after his ban from the Liverpool derby, but we're really hoping Liverpool can basically beat Wolves, keep them down. We're now, from a league position perspective, we are 18th. We've got 17 points now. We're minus 27 goals. 2 points behind Wolves, who've got minus 18. So just really important that Wolves have get hammered tomorrow at Anfield. That would be very helpful for us. And then an important other game tomorrow is Spurs versus Man United, which are our next 2 games. So let's look ahead to Spurs. You know, Angie's struggling. There's some wobbles there. Do you think we could do something next weekend?
Oh, we obviously won away, didn't we? Tottenham can. I think anybody could beat Tottenham. Anybody in any league at the moment could probably beat Tottenham the way that they are. So yeah, we got a chance, haven't we? I think Kieran kind of, and a lot of other managers, I think, know how to play against Tottenham. But we see on obviously the quality of player individually is certainly better than ours. But yeah, I think we've certainly got a chance.
Yeah, and I think Shea Maxwell's going to be out for that game because I think he did so well in London against Spurs when we won. But Godfrey maybe could come back in, or Johnson did well. How are you feeling about the Spurs game?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a chance. Let's just hope that we've got the belief back from the last 2 games, if you include the cup game and today. Certainly feel like we're in a better place now than post Southampton 2 weeks ago. You know, so yeah, let's see what we've got. The home form hasn't been great, but you know, we need to get some wins from somewhere, and Portman Road is probably going to be a key factor to that. So we need to try and turn our home form around, and let's see what Dr. Tottenham have got to say.
Let's hope they bring their stethoscope with them. But yeah, no, it's interesting, and I think McKenna and Ashton in the week were talking about us all sticking together now. And I think, as you rightly said, the Coventry FA Cup win, that's emboldened us, if that's the right word. Them coming to the away end at the end, it was pretty special at the end, you know, and they're getting that beefed up. So hopefully that we can take that into the Spurs game, and let's see where we can go.
Yep.
So thank you so much for watching another video verdict. We'll be back at Portman Road after the Spurs game, and thank you so much for watching. And as always, please like and subscribe.